Hey, just a quick video. And this is about, I've just been listening, I've been driving again, and I've listened to a couple of videos, right? So one is by a guy called Joe Imbriano. He's been around for a long time. A bit like, if you've heard of him, Richie from Boston. He's kind of one of those guys that's been around for a long time. He's pretty plain speaking. And he holds some very strong beliefs. And the thing is with both of these guys, you know, that having listened to them for a long time, they are very, very frequently right, if not always right. I don't agree with them on everything, okay? But when it comes to the important messages, those guys get it right. And they speak in a plain, straightforward language. But that doesn't detract, and it shouldn't detract, from the authenticity and the quality of the content that they're sharing. And it doesn't. Let's be clear about that. It's not about how things are delivered, it's about the content of what is said. Now, likewise, I also listened to the far more polished and arguably more eloquent dark journalist again for a while, with another eloquent and distinguished guest called Dr. Joseph Farrell. Frankly, both of these guys are very knowledgeable. I've listened to both a lot. I probably still will, because they do know a lot, and certainly Dr. Joseph Farrell's a very knowledgeable guy. However, I have certain red lines where if people cross that red line, it kind of destroys my trust in them. And with Joseph Farrell and with Dark Journalist, these guys both appear to still have some kind of belief in Donald Trump. Now, bearing in mind, these guys are very well informed. So they're not stupid, they're not ignorant. So that can only lead you to kind of a conclusion, right? And that is that they're kind of supportive of what he's doing. And they're already beginning to kind of make excuses for him, very subtly, you know, by talking about the strength of the deep state and all this kind of stuff. Now, they didn't touch on Israel, they didn't touch on genocide, but they were overall talking in broadly positive terms. There were a few concerns raised, but broadly speaking, you know, it was clear that they are not, let's say, as concerned about Trump as perhaps a Biden. And you see, my view is that I don't think there's any difference between Trump, Biden, or any other politician, or any other government. I don't trust any of them. And I think they're all fundamentally evil. And I think that's blatantly obvious. I don't think you have to have any kind of you don't have to have a degree from Oxford or be a journalist to know that. And I get the distinct impression that I've not heard Dark Journalist once bring up the subject of the genocide in Israel. So he hasn't mentioned it, right? So he's not said I support it. But for me, anybody who is in the truth community should be calling this out as one of the biggest crimes ever committed, ever. That is not only being committed, but it's being allowed, and it's being supported and funded by countries, certainly countries in the West. But let's not rule out the others. There are other countries who could be stopping it. Russia, China, other Middle Eastern countries. They could be doing a lot more than they are. They're all quite happy to sit back and allow, and they'll condemn it, but they'll allow it to carry on. And frankly, in my view, this is on a scale far worse than Hitler's so-called crimes against the Jews. And I say that because I'm not convinced. And I'm not convinced because I listen to people like David Irving. I read his books because I quite like people who go to source, you know, when they get their information rather than plagiarizing others. And he's one of those guys. I think he might be dead now, actually. He's very old anyway, but yeah, his life was ruined as a result of telling the truth. At the end, he was very famous at one point, but it all went tits up for him because he told the truth. Or he asked questions at the very least. So my issue now with dark journalists, with Joseph Farrell, is I want to hear them saying something in one episode, an episode at all, that condemns the horrific stuff that's going on in Gaza. And even if it isn't, even if they don't care about the Palestinian people and the atrocities being committed against them, and I think everybody should care about that if you're a human being, they will also know that that's a blueprint, that Palantir, who are heavily involved in providing intelligence data to Israel to help them, well, that's who we're doing a deal with, and we've done a deal with. Trump has done it. And if Trump's done it in the US, it means that it's happening in the UK too, and probably Europe. So if anybody thinks, well, it's over there, it's not our problem, they're wrong. And one thing people should learn, or have learned by now, is that things are no longer something you don't need to worry about just yet. Because things happen very fast now. And they happen very fast for a reason. They do that because counter-information, or what they would call misinformation, from so-called dissidents, is also spreading very fast. So they know that whenever they do something, they don't have long to get it done before it gets outed and exposed. So beware. And I'm just sharing my view on those guys. I'm not telling you what to think.